Hi, this is Ellen Bone with Lavender Touch Healing, and this is the third video of my healing journey that I am on to find all the places where I have locked things I thought I had dealt with in my body. I have dealt with them in as many ways as I could, but I never addressed and released the things out of my body. So this week's session started with my therapist first bringing up screaming. He said, "When was the last time that you really screamed?" And I got really uncomfortable. I didn't know where we were going to go. And fortunately, for my comfort at that point, that is saved for another time. But it is definitely something for me to look at because it made me uncomfortable. And I think I know why. I think that so many of us are taught, I was taught as a child, screaming, anger is not acceptable. So my choice has always been to swallow it, to not say it, to absorb it. But I also never deal with it later and release it. It just sits there. The next thing that we were talking about, it just sort of like my whoever was guiding me and things to talk about that led to things. I, in the past, have used physical activity. I, at one point, got into ultra endurance cycling. So I was doing 12-hour races, 24-hour races, even longer events. It was a great way to beat the crap out of myself, to keep myself out of the house in an unhappy relationship. I did that in 2 back-to-back relationships, by the way. So I am, part of the journey is working on what physical activity can I do, but that doesn't trigger those beating myself up, the icky stuff that I still haven't let go of that either. There's fodder for a long journey here. And another thing that led to was the first of those 2 back-to-back relationships, and there was betrayal. Briefly, from day one, at that time in my life, when I met this new partner, I said, I want to have a baby. My mom had passed away at 28. I was nearing 30. Biological clock was ticking away. I want to have a baby. It was about 7 or 8 years later that all obstacles were removed, at which point my partner finally had no choice but to say, I don't want to have a baby with you. It was a big betrayal. And I've dealt with a lot of those emotions, but what I realized in this session was that I've never processed the grief about the baby that never was. I was hoping it was a her. And so it's just one of those dreams, one of those expectations, one of those grieving times that I still have some work to do. I think I've resolved. There's less emotion, almost no emotion about that particular ex. So having emotion and realizing that I need to grieve the little one I had hoped for. By the way, everything works out perfectly because I wanted to have a child at that time for me, not for the child. So I would have probably been a not very good parent, and I'm grateful that that has worked out the way that it has. I did have another interesting discovery, which is the rocking, which had produced such emotion for me in my first session. And then I worked on releasing that in my whenever the sessions were. I can't put together the timeline, but I have done some work, I have released it, and now, when I explored the rocking, I smiled. And it felt probably the way that rocking is supposed to feel, as a self-soothing, comforting feeling. So I am so grateful for making progress. So grateful. And my homework for this time until my next session is to use my voice. I do guided meditations, and that is partially stepping into my voice, but just the suggestion was to use my voice along with my bowls. So that's what I'm going to be exploring, using my voice. There's so much. I feel the constriction in my throat, and when I don't talk. So that's the big next step. How do I speak and speak up for myself and use the power of my unique vibration and send it out into the universe? Thanks for watching, listening, spending a little time with me in my journey. I wish you well on your journey, and I'll check in with you again. Namaste.